The INFJ paradox: why empathy becomes a narcissist's greatest strategy for control. That's the title of this video. The quiet power that becomes a target. INFJ are often described as rare personalities, deeply intuitive, emotionally perceptive, and naturally drawn to understanding human behavior. Their empathy is not superficial, it is investigative. They don't just feel what others feel, they decode it. But in high conflict relational dynamics, especially with manipulative or narcissistic individuals, this strength can become a vulnerability. This is the paradox. The same empathy that allows INFJs to heal others can be strategically exploited by people who lack empathy. So this video explores that psychological tension in depth. So, understanding the INFJ psychological profile. INFJ stands for introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. Let me repeat that again. INFJ acronym stands for introverted. That is I introverted. Then there is the N, which is intuitive. Then there's the F, which is feeling, and J, judging. Introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. But beyond the typology, that is, INFJ tends to share deeper patterns. INFJs, they have high emotional absorption. They have strong pattern recognition in human behavior. They have deep need for meaning and relational authenticity. They are known for being natural. They're known for natural counseling and protective instincts, and they have strong internal moral compass. INFJ often feel like emotional translators in relationships. They interpret silence, tone, and inconsistency with unusual precision. There's a proverb that fits the experience. It says, "The heart that sees too much also carries too much." Narcissistic behavior is not just arrogance. In relational psychology, it often includes emotional manipulation, gaslighting, that is distorting reality, intermittent reinforcement, that is hot, cold behavior, lack of emotional reciprocity, control through guilt or confusion. The key dynamic is not just dominance. It is regulation of attention and emotional supply. A narcissistic system often seeks emotional partners who are highly responsive. INFJ naturally fit that pattern. Why INFJ and narcissistic personalities often collide is not random. It is structural. INFJ offer deep listening, emotional patience, forgiveness cycles, pattern correction attempts. Narcissistic patterns often interpret this as availability, emotional dependency, boundary flexibility. So what begins as emotional connection can gradually shift into emotional extraction. A saying that captures this shift is, "Where compassion has no boundaries, control finds a home." Empathy in INFJ functions like a map reading system. They notice micro changes in behavior, emotional inconsistencies, hidden pain signals. In healthy relationships, this creates healing. In manipulative dynamics, this becomes exploitable intelligence. Because once someone understands how you respond emotionally, they can predict and influence your reactions. This is where empathy becomes weaponized, not by the INFJ, but by the other person. The cycle of emotional conditioning. A common pattern emerges in toxic relational cycles. That is idealization, that is intense emotional bonding. Emotional inconsistency, that is confusion phase. The withdrawal or punishment. Re-engagement, that is the temporary affection. And the reinforcement of hope. This cycle creates emotional dependency through unpredictability. Psychologically, unpredictability increases emotional attachment because the mind keeps trying to solve the relationship. So why INFJ try harder instead of leaving? INFJ are not quick to disengage from emotional bonds. Reasons include belief in transformation and healing, deep sense of responsibility for emotional outcomes, aversion to unresolved relational tension, internal narrative of I can understand this better. So this creates a dangerous loop. The more confusion increases, the more INFJ try to understand. Gaslighting is particularly destabilizing for intuitive personalities. It often involves denying previously stated facts, reframing emotional responses as irrational, rewriting shared history. For INFJ, whose trust is built on internal coherence, this can lead to self-doubt, emotional overanalysis, loss of intuitive confidence. A psychological distortion emerges. If I feel something strongly, maybe I'm wrong. The empathy trap occurs when understanding replaces boundaries. INFJ may think they are hurt, that's why they behave this way. The INFJ may think if I explain it better, they will change. But understanding without limits becomes emotional exposure. Empathy without boundaries does not heal the other person, it exhausts the empath. In unhealthy dynamics, roles become rigid. One becomes the healer, the other becomes the unresolved emotional center. This creates imbalance. The INFJ keeps giving meaning, emotional stability, and interpretation. The narcissistic pattern may keep extracting validation, attention, or emotional reactions. Over time, identity can become role-based rather than mutual. The breaking point is rarely hidden. It is cumulative. Repeated emotional invalidation, cycles of hope and disappointment, exhaustion from emotional labor. Eventually, INFJ may experience emotional withdrawal, sudden detachment, door slam behavior, that is complete shutdown of access. Now, this is not impulsive. It is often the final boundary after prolonged erosion. Now, the INFJ, they will use door slam as boundary restoration. When INFJ fully disengage, it is often irreversible. Not out of revenge, but self-preservation. It represents emotional system reset, boundary enforcement after exhaustion, reclaiming internal coherence. Now, a wise observation is when silence replaces explanation, understanding has already ended. Healing from such dynamics often involves re-establishing emotional boundaries, rebuilding self-trust, reducing over-responsibility for others' emotions, recognizing manipulation patterns without self-blame. The key shift is from why didn't they change to why did I stay behind my limits? Empathy is not the problem. Unprotected empathy is. Healthy transformation includes discernment, that is understanding intent versus expression. Healthy transformation includes bounded compassion, emotional self-prioritization, reciprocal relationship standards. Empathy becomes strength when it is no longer self-sacrificial. The INFJ paradox is not that empathy is weak. It is that empathy is powerful enough to build connection or sustain illusion. In the wrong hands, emotional insight becomes a control mechanism. In the right framework, it becomes healing intelligence. The difference is not personality type, it is boundaries. Empathy without boundaries is not love, it is access. Understanding this distinction is what transforms the INFJ experience from emotional exhaustion into emotional mastery. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so. And please feel free to send those dollars through super chat, super thanks, to help create awareness, to help build this YouTube channel. Thank you.